issues in this room. So, well, we're just waiting on some. Okay, so let us. Let us get into our meditation position. With our back straight, shoulders relaxed, relaxing all of the muscles on your shoulders, mindfulness of your spine, mindfulness of your shoulders, mindfulness of the muscles on your face. We gently bring a small smile to our face. With the right hand over the left, with the two thumbs barely touching each other. We take our first 3 deep breaths. At this time, you will observe your breath, the in-breath and the out-breath, discerning, breathing in, I know I'm breathing in, breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. Breathing in long, I note and I know that I'm breathing long. Breathing out long, I note the out-breath is long. Breathing in short, I notice that it is short. Breathing out long, I notice it is long. It will be used as a one-pointed concentration technique to focus on the breath. While remaining mindful of your posture, there is peace release with every breath. There is impermanence with every breath. There is changes with every breath. Let us take 2 deep breaths. Moving on to the counting technique. In breath 1, out breath 1. In breath 2, out breath 2. In breath 3, out breath 3. As you move on your own pace to 10, let us take 2 deep breaths in preparing for loving kindness meditation. after me out loud. May I be well.
May I be well.
May I be happy.
May I be happy.
May I be healthy.
May I be healthy.
May I be free from mental suffering.
May I be free from mental suffering.
May I be free from physical suffering.
May I be free from physical suffering.
May all of my wishes be fulfilled.
May all my wishes be fulfilled.
May I be happy.
May I be happy.
May I be well.
May I be well.
May I be healthy.
May I be healthy.
May I be free from mental suffering.
May I be free from mental suffering.
May I be free from physical suffering.
May I be free from physical suffering.
May I be at ease.
May I be at ease.
May I remain peaceful.
May I remain peaceful.
May I be free from depression.
May I be free from depression.
May I be free from worries.
May I be free from worries.
May I be free from physical ailments.
May I be free from physical ailments.
May all of my wishes be fulfilled.
May all my wishes be fulfilled.
May all beings in the world be well.
May all beings in the world be well.
May all beings be happy.
May all beings be happy.
May all beings be healthy.
May all beings be healthy.
May all beings be kind.
May all beings be kind.
May all beings be forgiving.
May all beings be forgiving.
May all beings be understanding.
May all beings be understanding.
May all beings be compassionate.
May all beings be compassionate.
May they be free from mental suffering.
May they be free from mental suffering.
May they be free from physical suffering.
May they be free from physical suffering.
May they be free from depression.
May they be free from depression.
May they be free from worries.
May they be free from worries.
May they know what it's like to live in the present.
May they know what it's like to live in the present.
May all of their wishes be fulfilled.
May all their wishes be fulfilled.
May I be free from enmity and danger. May I be free from mental suffering. May I be free from physical suffering. May I take care of myself happily. May my parents, teachers, relatives, and friends, fellow dhamma be free from enmity and danger. Be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical suffering. May they take care of themselves happily. May all yogis in this compound be free from enmity and danger. Be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical suffering. May they take care of themselves happily. May all monks in this compound know this monks, laymen and laywomen disciples, be free from enmity and danger. Be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical suffering. May they take care of themselves happily. from enmity and danger. Be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical suffering. May they take care of themselves. Happy. May our garden be light. In this monastery, in this dwelling, in this compound, may the guardian deva be free from enmity and danger, be free from mental suffering, be free
As
from
we take
physical
another
suffering.
2 deep breaths,
May they take care of themselves. May all beings, all breathing things, all creatures, all individuals, all personalities, may all females, all males, all noble ones, all lowly, all deities, all humans, all those in the form woeful pain. Be free from enmity and danger. Be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical
slowly we relax our concentration. Slowly we arise from this brief meditation back to the sound of my voice. Feel free to stretch from your 15 minutes of meditation.
What's 15 minutes?
I don't know. You like that, Julius? Yeah. It was all for you. You know what he did before he came here? Are we meditating today? He didn't care about the dhamma talk. Are we meditating? It was a very direct, succinct message. You just care about the meditation. Now you see why I like to keep it small. Because you can't please everybody. But it's good to have meditation and we'll meditate again here shortly after a short dhamma talk. Like a break, just like the Buddha. He sat and meditated, got up, did walking meditation, went out to teach, came back, sat and meditated. All those 3 things he repeated over and over again. So it's good to repeat and make it into a habit and a routine in one's day, in cultivating deep practice. Quite frankly, when this song is on, it's like we're in the forest. Like nothing else really matters. No Donald Trump, no Dalai Lama, none of that really matters. It's just you and your relationship with your breath. The one thing to access peace in a matter of an instant. At death, in times of crisis, in times of agony, in times of sorrow, right there. Just close your eyes, access the breath, and into the woods you go, no matter where you're at. Today I wanted to brush up on the first noble truth as I revisit the biography of the Buddha. My purple book is
Nah, I remember it. That's okay. You can come sit. And if I don't remember, I just go back to my own TikTok. Go back into the basics of the teachings of the Buddha when the prince ventured outside the palace. The very last paragraph here. He saw a man lay on the side of the path, his stomach bloated despite his emaciated body. His breathing was labored, his limbs were as weak as dead tree branches, and the tears fell from his eyes as he moaned. He asked Chandaka, the guy who was driving the horse, the charioteer, and Chandaka said, Prince, this man is sick in the body. If the organs do not work in harmony, then pain and illness will manifest. So I want you all to look at that. If the organs do not work in harmony, how many of you guys are vaping? How many doing cocaine? How many doing LSD, shrooms? Okay? You are at risk for that right there when your organs do not work in harmony. Quicker to death. As I go back into the basics, the other one was, see my students over there? I want to bring you guys back to the first noble truth, particularly, hold on, the wind is blue. Give me 1 second. In regards to the first noble truth in illness, the Buddha asked, how can I pass my days in peace? The beings in the world are mired in ignorance and darkness. They do not know that illness can overtake them at any moment. Instead, chasing blindly after the insubstantial 5 desires. Again, we're subject to old age, death, disease, decay, and that was the disease part of it. Then when it came to death, he said, the people of this world are deeply misguided with death so close. How can we relax? We are not like trees or stones. How can we live unaware of the impermanence of things, passing our days in leisure and games? Death is certain. How can I sit and watch as life quietly slips by? So, anyone get that?
Sure.
Powerful, isn't that? Just those lines I read alone falls under the first noble truth. And once again, we don't see this. This is why when the world takes a crap, and we're so engaged what's going on out there, and then we would just go, we know we're blind. We know that we're blind to ourselves and the things that we do. So when we know that we are blind, we go back into the text, which opens our eyes to things that we are blind to. And those quotes that I read out of, when you read those quotes, you realize that you are seeing what the Buddha saw. You realize that you saw an old man kind of like me, grabbing his back kind of like me, with sorrow, pain, suffering in the face. My neck, my back, my hips, my bones. If you are ever in a hospital, in the ER section, this is what you see. They're not happy. And it's exactly that you need to see. And it's exactly that is what your mind's eye need to see. And from that seeing translate to the understanding of the heart, then the heart sees it. And if the heart sees it, you are compelled and moved to do what needs to be done. To study what needs to be studied quickly. And to not waste time in games and entertainment. So you both were sick over the past week, severely. What did that remind you of?
Oh, that was quite an eye-opener. For me, you had some pretty profound experiences this week as well. But for me, I realized, well, first and foremost is always the impermanence of the breath, the suffering of breathing, disease, of course, and the gratitude that I had that I could still breathe in the moment, though I wasn't breathing comfortably, and I was constantly sore throat, chest congestion. Felt like I had COVID again a couple years ago, but not as long. But yeah, it was pretty, it was eye-opening. And I just said that, but that's exactly what I would say. It was one of those things where I realized the true nature of the body. I used that to meditate. It was difficult to meditate, to find comfort in the breath. And to realize that and meditate on that was something profound in its own self.
Did you know that when this kid takes a shower, he's in there and he's like, with his nose, he's clearing it out because he works in sawdust a lot. And every time he's in there, all you hear is. Horrendous. Then I was like, literally, when you analyze your nostrils, what is inside of your nostrils? How clear it is. Is it clear? Is the tubes clear to enjoy breathing right now?
Yeah.
And I realized that mine wasn't. And I was like, damn it. What is that on the left nostril? And I'm like, damn it. No, I was really frustrated. Just for a second, I wanted to play with my nostrils. And I was like, I'm determined to remove the foreign object, whatever that foreign object was. Then when everything was clear, then I went in the shower myself with hot steaming water, and there was a glimpse of everything being within natural flow of the hot air, and how liberating it was to actually fully inhale and fully exhale. Was when I realized, for a moment I lived. Right? And remember when everyone's got nose problems. There's no wonder why they have nasal sprays, and now they have all sorts of nasal products out there that help you clear. And this serves as a filter before it enters our other filter to protect you, right? Especially if you don't change the filter in the home, then all sorts of debris and dust, all sorts of junk. If you don't sanitize your AC unit, oh yeah. I mean, there's so much things to do to live well and happy. But that reminded me, see, he didn't know he was actually teaching me while I was in the... But gratefulness is that. Gratefulness is no nasal congestion. Happiness is no nasal congestion.
It's true.
Happiness is also not having a toothache.
Oh, yeah.
Ever reflected on that? Until it comes and you're like, now I gotta call and get an appointment. The appointment is 2 weeks away. I gotta use oral gel for 2 weeks. Life comes fast. Life comes fast at you. It is exactly these little small things in life that we use as evidence and objects of analytics to practice the Theravadan way, to achieve peace, to remind ourselves what peace is, what happiness is, by and through the breath. So who cares about what the hell the world is doing and what the hell the world is worrying about? We have to look at those 2 quotes that I said yesterday in the parking lot, opening up my book and reading you all 2 very important quotes that people probably missed the whole thing in its entirety. Funny, the 2 quotes that can make you enlightened, they missed. Only 2,500 people viewed it, but yet 400,000 view the Dalai Lama situation. See how much we run away from ourselves? We want to worry about what the old guy's doing versus how clear our nostril is. and the insight, our nostrils and our own health gives insight into the first noble truth. One of the check mark off the box that you need to get down in basic Buddhism.
I also, there was one, actually there was a couple nights, but there was one night I didn't sleep at all. I couldn't, like it was in my chest. I couldn't get a deep breath. I couldn't get that, like, nice breath of fresh air. I just couldn't do it, and I sat in that, and Julie was sleeping, and I'm trying to fall asleep, and finally I was like, if I can't sleep, I'm just gonna read. Just sit up in bed, focus on my breath, try not to make a bunch of coughing sounds to wake her up, and we got some good sleep, and I was like, I'm just gonna read. And I was up all night reading, and part of that was also in reflection of just being, again, grateful. It's funny because I used to be so, I would get anxious, I would have a panic attack, I couldn't breathe right, because I couldn't breathe. I started thinking about how I couldn't breathe, and it was the total opposite, having this experience, being sick, being able to realize, man, I'm sitting here right now, I'm pretty comfortable, I'm in this bed, I have a roof over my head. Sure, I can't breathe very well, but I'm not on a machine. There's people out there that are in the hospital about to die, they have pneumonia or whatever the case is, and I was just reflecting on what I would consider, as discomforted as I was, not being able to sleep, the reality of the fact that it's so minor in the grand scheme of true suffering, and kind of checked me there a little bit. It was nice to reflect and to read. I don't know what else I can do in the middle of the night. Try and just educate myself a little bit more.
As I review the literature on social justice and environmental justice, which ties back to social justice and racial justice and everything else in between it, there are cities across America that is bombarded with sulfur in the air, bombarded with all sorts of air pollution. You go to India, it's not pretty, air pollution. Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City, air pollution. Air pollution across, thank God for EPA. Most countries don't have EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. And just realize we live in Pinellas County, where we have a peninsula, 3 sides of water, and how it's becoming a gold mine. One factor is air quality from the ocean. Right through. As the air is blowing through you, passing by you, the air is going by you, you feel it in your skin, but do you feel it in your lungs? Do you fully inhale sulfur-free air through your lungs? So what people don't know is that, how do monks access enlightenment and nirvana? At the beach. That's why I'm always there. People are like, well, what's your skincare routine? I ain't got none. I put sunscreen on whenever I have time. But my real skincare routine is the beach. I lay on it, I breathe it, I live it, I look at it, I hear it, and that's how I access enlightenment. That's how I access nirvana. Though I may have greed, anger, ignorance left, residuals of such somewhere in my blood. But in the moment, I'm there. I'm there, and I'm trying to clear my nostrils. I'm trying to absorb what Mother Nature has to offer inside of your lungs. So it's an experiment for all of you. That's why you were at the beach yesterday, right? Why are you at the beach? Why do you like the beach so much, Sergey?
I don't know. It's maybe I like the waves, kind of like, I don't know, you feel close to nature.
And my thing was always getting a boat and out in the water. He likes the forest. Who likes the forest? Oh, y'all twins, so. See the hair? Yeah. Oh, what's up, homie? What you do this week? What kind of game did you play? Yeah, tic-tac-toe. But my thing's always been on the waters, so that, just the air quality and look at a bunch of Goliath groupers and Nemos waving at me. Yeah, it's an experiment for all of you. Next time, have a different relationship with the air. Have a different relationship with the ocean. People can't think. You have to help people think. You can have, you're so much to be grateful with. That's how you access these things. How did the Buddha become so happy? During his time was no different than our times. Even less safe, even more drama, more wars. In the Buddha's time, there was not a lot of peace. So he had to find peace within. And he used everything around him, the nature around him, to connect to that peace. Right. Any questions so far? Comment? Anyone else like to add?
I took a turtle out of the road this week.
You saved a life, so therefore your life will be extended.
That thing was crazy. It was so crazy. I've moved turtles and tortoises more times than I can even care to remember. For whatever reason, they're always in my way. Not in my way, but in my path. And not in a exactly safe area. And this one was a soft shell turtle, the ones with the real long arms and a real long neck and the snorkel nose. And I'm like, what are you doing there? So I turned around and I went and got it. I picked it up. And it was just going crazy. And it was like scratching my hands. This is unbelievably wild. It was quite humorous, really, but I've never had a turtle. They always, or sometimes they make a hissing sound. This one was just.
We call that turtle PTSD.
Oh my god, it was wild. It was the funniest thing, man. Yeah.
What did you guys get out of Dhammapada?
So a couple things. I've been reading that one too, which I think is really good. I bookmarked the purple, obviously the Four Noble Truths is bookmarked, but the purple page, I thought that was about sandcastles. That was really profound.
Sandcastles.
That was crazy. I read that little excerpt, and it has where it's from in the bottom. But that really blew my mind about people's reactions, the anger people have for no reason at all, and then the impermanence of the reason why the person in that little story got angry. It blew my mind. I'm at thirst. It was funny you mentioned hunger earlier. The compulsive.
Well, before you all read that, let me read it out of here, because I took them to the sandcastle in Clearwater Beach. We have pictures of it, right? You know yeah, okay. But I went there for a reason. I went there for a teaching moment. I didn't drag a novice with me to waste time and for entertainment purposes.
Sure.
So let me read this out of here, see if we can connect some analogies. Sandcastles. Some children were playing beside a river. They made castles of sand, and each child defended his castle and said, "This one is mine." They kept their castles separate and would not allow any mistakes about which was whose. When the castles were all finished, one child kicked over someone else's castle and completely destroyed it. The owner of the castle flew into rage, pulled the other child's hair, struck him with his fist, and bawled out, "He has spoiled my castle. Come along, all of you, and help me to punish him as he deserves." The others all came to his help. They beat the child with a stick and then stamped on him, and he laid on the ground. Then they went on playing in their sandcastle, each saying, "This is mine, no one else may have it. Keep away. Don't touch my castle." But evening came, and it was dark, and they all thought they were going home. Now, no one now cared what became of his castle. One child stamped on his, another pushed over with both hands. Then they turned away and went back, each to his home.
Yeah, it blew my mind.
A lot of analogies here. Number one, a sand castle can be looked as your whole life building it, your whole life building your own home. The home that you thought it was yours. My home, my house, my car, my Beamer. My PS5. And towards the end of your life, you see that nothing is actually yours. And what is the house subject to? Give me some examples. What is the house subject to? As it's just sitting there.
Natural disaster,
Uh-huh.
bugs,
Uh-huh.
fire,
War? War. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. How many neighbors shoot each other over grass?
yeah.
Over grass. You know that? Yeah. They shoot each other over grass. This is my side of the yard, not your side. This is where the county says, your house, my house. It's one line. But it was over principle of control that people fight over. Yeah. My fence. Why is your fence touching my fence? Exactly what that paragraph is. And the pain, sorrow, and misery that humans create over something so temporary, that's not even theirs. That's not even theirs. And towards the end of their old life, ocean of regret over sand, over grass, over a fence, a plastic fence, over a piece of plastic, and accumulated so much karma that will carry on the next life as the grumpy old turtle it will become. That turtle was not chill. And it was not chill because in his last life, he fought over his house. He fought over his castle.
Wow.
That made of sand. Fools. The Arahants sit there and just, fools you are. And fools you will become. And the rebirths you will take. So therefore, yes, it is exactly analogies as such that you have to use to think outside of the box, think critically about the impermanence nature of life, of people and things. The Dhammapada. Oh wait. One more. I took Novice Lead there, and in a video that has yet been published, I said the making of the next venerable takes a lot of time, energy, and effort craft into perfection. Because as you see some of these sand things, it was like perfection. It was so detailed, so careful, meticulous, that one mistake could destroy the whole thing. And I wanted to Novice Lee to reflect on that in my own life. In my own life, and along the way, the making of this venerable, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of trials, and one must try to keep the Vinaya at heart, in mind, as close as possible. I mean, just look at that, the sand behind us, how perfect it looks. See, love, not war. But all this was made out of sand. But to help him understand that I'm cultivating you to be the next perfected castle, as perfected as it is ever going to get. And one small mistake you make in your life can ruin it all. The Dalai Lama made a mistake. If we perceive that as a mistake, an honest mistake, see that what that has costed him, what that has costed Buddhism. See clearly that you have to live wisely and intelligently, for that matter. You must exercise this intelligently. Be careful what you say when you're around other people. Take care of your thoughts when you are alone. If what the Dalai Lama had said, allegedly, he obviously did not watch what he said when he was around others. Nonetheless, television. So therefore, in this world of the political climate, the social climate, never before is this most treasured book of instructions for you all to live. To live and leave a legacy for the next generation, to live in your footpaths. And that's where you're at, mister. Your generation. So therefore, the making of a castle, and don't make a mistake so the castle can fall quickly. All of that would have been worth nothing. The hours it took. The hours that it took in one day to cultivate a castle. All to be gone by night over one mistake. Go ahead with the dhamma pada.
I'm on punishment on 143. Speak quietly to everyone, and they too will be gentle in their speech. Harsh words hurt and come back to the speaker. If your mind is still like a broken gong, you have entered nirvana, leaving all quarrels behind you. As a cowherd with his staff drives cows to fresh fields, old age and death lead all creatures to new lives. The selfish doing harm do not know what is in store for them. They are burned as if by fire by the results of their own deeds. If one harms the innocent, suffering will come in these 10 ways. They may suffer grief, infirmity, painful accident, serious illness, loss of mind, legal prosecution, fearful accusation, family bereavement, or financial loss. Or their house may burn down, and after death they may be thrown into the fire of suffering.
You got the 2 dhamma pada books for me, Mr. Julius. You have another one?
No.
No. You're about to read. Can you give him the page numbers?
Yeah.
Share some with Sergey. Oh no, it's for you. These guys are with me all day. They get this stuff in their ear all day. They can't wait to run in the forest. You can give them the page number.
Yes, sir. That's what she just read, yeah, 143 to 144, it's under punishment. From verse,
Let's go back to it. I want you to read it again. You guys got on the same page? The same page? Let's follow along one more time.
it's verse 133, which is the third paragraph down.
Alright. Speak quietly to everyone, and they too will be gentle in their speech.
Pause. Speak gently to everyone. Who practices that? Are you sure? You to everyone at all the time?
All the time. That's the-
Most of the time?
Yeah.
Ah.
All the time.
Watch how our anger and agitation and frustration with certain family members touches the ego where we cannot remain calm during talks. On the study of communications, PhD in communications, when we start off with you, one ear out the other, versus, can I tell you something about what happened and how it made me feel? Certain things that took place based on your action that made me felt a certain way in this household. Okay, go ahead.
Harsh words hurt and come back to the speaker. If your mind is still like a broken gong, you have entered nirvana, leaving all quarrels behind you. As a cowherd with his staff drives cows to fresh fields, old age and death lead all creatures to new lives. The selfish doing harm do not know what is in store for them. They are burned as if by fire by the results of their own deeds. If one harms the innocent, suffering will come in these 10 ways. They may suffer grief, infirmity, painful accident, serious illness, loss of mind, legal prosecution, fearful accusation, family bereavement, or financial loss. Or their house may burn down, and after death they may be thrown into the fire of suffering.
Heath, you have a page for us?
Yeah, thirst.
Or anyone have any questions on what she just read? In John Wick, what did it say? Rules and
Consequences.
what she just read was consequences. Everything we do have consequences, but yet not a lot of people sit there and think about the consequences. So after you leave today, just think about, in life, what are the things that subject me to legal prosecution? That's America. Everyone's trying to sue everybody for everything. That's why we have policies, standards, and procedures and protocols. So think about that, because not a lot of people think about the consequences. The consequences of sex and having a child, the consequences of speeding and a speeding ticket that follows, along with points and insurance rates and hikes. The consequences of one word that could destroy a relationship. The consequences of one word that will take you years to repair of trust. How in our own relationship we use certain words that we meant, not what we said, but we said it. You took out a dagger and you threw it, and somebody got stuck, and you wanted to undo all of that. It takes years to heal that wound. Consequences. It's what all Theravada is all about. The rules and the consequences.
And there are good consequences. There are good consequences as well.
Absolutely.
Obviously, this is about punishment, but there's also doing good deeds, reaping the benefits of that. So we should do things for the results of it. We should do it because it's just the right thing to do. But it does have its perks.
Correct. Do good deeds purify one's mind and heart. These are the advices of the Buddhas.
This is on page 234, under thirst. It's about just read it.
You guys got it? The page?
Yeah.
2 what?
234.
234.
It's the page 234. It's under chapter 24, titled Thirst. And the verse is 334. It's the top, starting at the top of the page. The compulsive urges of the thoughtless grow like a creeper. They jump like a monkey from one life to another, looking for fruit in the forest. When these urges drive us, sorrow spreads like wild grass. Conquer these fierce cravings, and sorrow will fall away from your life like drops of water from a lotus leaf. Therefore I say, dig up craving, root and all, as you would uproot piranha's grass. If you don't want Mara to crush you, as the stream crushes reeds on its banks, as a tree, though cut down, recovers and grows, if its roots are not destroyed, suffering will come to you more and more if these compulsive urges are not extinguished. I thought that was interesting because we've been talking about just like addictive tendencies recently this past couple of weeks, especially being sick and noticing certain behavioral actions and characteristic traits. And I wouldn't even say addictive tendencies in the way of like addicted to substances or anything. It's just habitual actions, like you were sharing about YouTube.
Yeah.
And
I
just
deleted
entertainment.
You're not gonna listen to me anymore?
She will.
I will eventually.
I just lost a viewer.
I didn't delete YouTube.
Do you know the consequences of that?
You know, so it was that. For me, it was more so content on YouTube, I guess. We're kind of talking about that. I kind of eliminated certain things and strictly focused on just like music and educational related stuff, dhamma, you know, teachings. And then that was my biggest thing. For me personally, but I thought that was an interesting thing because it also goes to like food and, you know, craving and desire and just wanting, and it's, again, it's not always about like wanting substances, alcohol or whatever it might be, you know, drinking or vaping or smoking or whatever the case may be, because we don't do either of that. However, there are still urges that we have that you don't even realize or think about often until you like sit down and through vipassana you're like, huh, wow, that's something that I've been doing and it's taking a lot of my attention and it's not serving a greater purpose. And you notice the attention that you give to it doesn't either have any value to the life that we live, the education that we are bringing into our heads so that we can live a better life, or relaxing. And it also comes to me the idea of like that idea of compulsive urges and things that we want to do. It could be down to like drawing, but it's intention. You know, the reason why we're doing what we're doing. Are we doing it to numb ourselves out, to keep ourselves from thinking about something, or are we doing it for the act of doing it in the sense of meditation? You know, like coloring, you could do it to distract yourself from your thoughts, or you could do it to control your thoughts.
Novice Lee here has given up his old ways in his old days. Would you like to share what you've given up and vow not to touch again? Or would you like to remain private about that?
Yeah, I don't care. I used to be very heavily addicted to cocaine,
Right on.
marijuana. I never was really a heavy drinker. I would drink every now and then. That was more just to be social. Still working on a few, but the main things that really were taking time, not wise, and killing me quicker.
Yeah.
So,
It's nice being sober, right?
what was that?
It's good being sober. It's nice.
Oh yeah. You don't need any of those things.
And now he watches his other friends enslaved
Yeah.
to addictive nature.
Yeah.
We're starting to slip down the slope towards it.
Yeah. That's something, not specifically that in particular to be like the primary substance. That's something that, let's just speak for myself, done all sorts of stuff, you know, everything. And you do it to kind of block yourself from thinking, to distract yourself. I say all the time, you know, nobody does drink alcohol or smoke or whatever it might be, or cocaine, it doesn't matter what it is. Nobody does any of that because they're so happy that they're gonna just numb their mind out. No pun intended there with the right there. But it's true, like some people say things like, well, I need to smoke because it makes me calm. You don't need to do that. Let's just say like using cannabis, like you don't need to do that to make yourself calm. You're addicted to it. You don't want to figure out a solution, and ultimately that's because you're not happy. And I'm speaking on behalf of myself and only myself. But it's very true that any person that goes out and drinks, they could be on the surface level very happy. It's just he's drinking because it's socially acceptable by like pretty much the whole world for thousands of years. Nobody just goes out and has a few drinks, and there's no shame in people who do enjoy that. But I can tell you, if we really truly dive deep into our mind, nobody does that because they're so happy that they're gonna poison their body. And that's just the truth. You know, we can be happy, surface level happy, we can be quote successful, have a good job, make $75,000 a year, you know, do whatever, but ultimately the reason why we're poisoning ourselves is because we're seeking gratification somewhere else because we don't have it within ourselves. So once we can realize that and we let those things go, and I've said this before, like, dude, meditation, man, that's the best way.
Free.
It's free, it's healthy, it's clarifying, and like it literally, like, I know I said this like when we first started seeing you 7 months ago or whatever. Now, it's August of last year. But we, as I was sharing, I was like, everything that I seeked for through substance use, be it legally prescribed or illegally illicit, all of that that I'd searched for 15 years, man, it was right in front of me. Right here. Sorry, hollow. Empty mind. So I'm happy, I'm very, very happy to hear that. Sir, I am so thrilled to hear those words from any person. So, that is wonderful.
The biggest thing is too is that people who do have active substance abuses or are weaning off, you've got to look at it like a learning experience.
Yes.
You can't beat yourself up about it.
Absolutely.
You're just going to continue to go down the other path.
Right.
Like you said with your sickness, now with being able to breathe, there was times where I literally didn't even remember how to breathe.
Right.
You were trying to figure out, oh man, I can't breathe. How do I breathe? And it's just enjoy the moment where you're at now and what you have been able to attain and are able to still do, and the fact that you're still here.
Presence, man, be here now.
Usually when shit hits the fan, people are in the ER.
Yeah.
And you notice that doctors, they go in there, they're very compassionate. They don't really, if we were ever to become doctors, we would go in the ER and we would say, excuse me, you got knocked out.
You like Dr. House?
We're just keeping it real. It's to wake people up and realize what they had done to themselves, but because of their profession, and I'm pretty sure the hospital guidelines probably would not like that. You know, like there was a doctor in there that he always says, well, thank you for choosing Northside Hospital. That we would be like, don't come back.
It's true though.
That's the Theravada way.
I'm sorry, what? You fell into a hole?
Okay, so what's going on with this Sunday thing? As soon as I announced semi-retirement, last Sunday, everyone starts to show up out of nowhere. Funny how that works, right? Do you all know what's happening? Well, let me tell you all what's happening, and let me ask you all for a consensus that may or may not change my mind, because I have a hard time saying no to people. At the current time, is the Sunday service has been going on for a year and a half, something like that, which these two primary students showed up, and a few more, but these are the two most ardent students, hardcore students in dhamma, to learn the basics and intermediate levels. Then life changed, right? and the economy changed, and then came this guy, and then this guy came, and I was like, who is this guy? He came high to me at my own fundraising event, and I didn't realize he was high. After confessions, it was well discovered he was high. So then a month later, he came back, and he was like, something you said stood out to me while I was high. And I was like, great, well, you must be not that high that day. Matter of fact, it's on the TikTok, how high he actually really was. Pinned to the top of the page, pinned in the video, as he's holding up my own shirt. Hi. So, see what I have to go through? I need nirvana now. So he came, and as he came, I'm like, who the hell are you? And why are you here? And he stated his intention, and of course, him being Korean, I can't read him. As much as I can read the rest of the other humans, I can read, and I'm like, ugh. And I'm like, I can't read this kid. I don't know what his intent, mens rea, is. So through time passes by, and I slowly watch how he inspired his own family and friends, such as Gabe. Gabe was quite inspired. Gabe, how did you come back in his life?
He just contacted my sister because I don't have the service or anything, and got a hold of me, invited me to come out here, and I had no idea really what it was about or anything.
It's a cult.
Yeah, basically. But I liked the experience, and I saw a change almost immediately. Also, my demeanor and everything, how I've been living.
He's now back to full capacity and operating efficiently and effectively like the teenager that he is. So clearly, obviously, and of course, through a short time, it's a rare thing that I ordain someone within 2 months. More like I need to know you 6 months before I ordain you. So I took a chance and a risk because I was running out of time, I was running out of resources, and exhausted. And so, if this is something that you all are committed to, you all need to speak now or forever hold your peace if we're going to continue Sunday sessions, because I have a Vietnam trip coming up, and I have to prepare for that. Lord knows the amount of books that has been stacked up in preparation for the Vietnam trip. Those books stacked up is from the floor to my head on both sides of my left and right shoulders for me to read from now until November. I'm not complaining about that. I'm here to serve the people. The other thing that I have a tremendous problem with across the world is that if you study this and you don't practice it, then it does you no good. Now we have a lot of check mark to check mark off of. And the first thing is greed. Then comes anger. Then comes ignorance. So we're working on the ignorant part of the Four Noble Truths. That's why we're here. But we also need to check mark off of the greed if there's an existence of greed. How do we get rid of greed? Is through practicing dhamma, generosity, giving more and taking less. It serves two purposes. Number one, you get rid of your greed slowly, gradually, in gradients, intensity, gradient and intensity. Gradient meaning these small little dots on the floor here. Gradient of sand. So small gradients of greed start to diminish, mitigate, okay, become less of a self, my money, my possessions, my material, my house, my beamer, all these mines. It comes as a severe disappointment, especially people across the world that is listening to me, have been listening for years, and don't practice dhamma, incomparable to Southeast Asian folks. We don't have to give teachings on dhamma. They know. They know. It is monastically embarrassing for me to constantly remind the practice of dhamma. So sometimes I just want to say, if you're in Buddhism and you don't want to practice, Buddhism is not for you. Keep going. Keep searching for other world religions. We're not the one for you. You know what I mean? We're just merely entertainment for you right now. And blessed are those who have given because they have reflected on the giving and the intention behind the giving, and giving to the right place, right reason, right time. So there was a lot of factors that made up my decision in focusing on other priorities versus, doing this without any results, and results from people on their screens, not people that's here. That's why people are here, because they're practicing and they're studying and they're growing and they're living and they're smiling. but everybody else across the screen of the magnitude of those people. And of course, I have tread the Vinaya by the t-shirt programs and all of the other programs that luckily did not receive a large backlash for life-saving programs such as these folks. Direct evidence, direct observations, and Project Julius, now also back to full capacity of academic study and contributing to internet security. Successful young 21?
23.
Damn. 23-year-old, now driving a Beamer. So it's a measurement of success, wealth, and health, which is exactly what the Buddha wants all of you to do, is to learn, study, practice, get out, be happy, buy things. You can accumulate them. Just don't stack so much gold that you need, armed AK-47 security guards to guard your gold, And as you accumulate, give. This week, and again, a teaching on giving, another student reached out to me and said, well, this student had broke up with the girlfriend, lost everything, went back to living with parents, on the risk of getting kicked out of the parents' home, on the risk of getting fired at his job, and then asked me, why are these things always happening to me? My whole life, these things always tend to happen. And I said, what did you just accumulate recently? A new car. Is it the one that you always wanted? Yes. When times were good and you had money in the bank, did you give to charity? Did you give? No. Then who do you blame now? Because the teachings of the Buddha is very uniform about giving. What goes around comes around. And here I am as the world's first teacher that gave so much since childhood, who lives here. Anyone can direct cross-examine, anyone can object publicly across the world about who I am, what I've been doing, how I've been doing it, and how I don't suffer long. So I told the student straight up, I said, well, that's the problem, is you don't give. To the right place, to the right people, at the right time. You hoarded money. You use it for selfless desire, for your self-desires, self-centered desires. And now you suffer the way that you do. And even if I was an actively living Buddha right now, I still can't save you. And still cannot, and even if you gave me $1 or $1 million with the intention of wanting something in return, you would have done more harm to your karma than the actual gift of giving without expecting anything in return. That is a gift. I had to be sensitive of this particular talk and of this particular teaching is because it opens up a whole bunch of praise and blame across all three schools. Teachers have used this teaching to scam students and to accumulate wealth and money. So I had to wait 8 years. There's certain teachings I had to wait 8 years later to open my mouth on. And this year just so happens to be that year. And of course, across independent. And of course, obviously, Gabe and other students. And I have already given warrantless search to the world. That means any single one of you can go through in any of these phones right in front of me to ensure accuracy, integrity, and honesty, fidelity of the nature of my work and practice of an independent monk. Something that you've never seen before. No one will ever consent to a warrantless search because they got dirt in their phone. We know that. Everyone's got dirt in their phone. There's Chidao, have at it. You want phone records? Have at it. You want text messages? Have at it. Warrantless search. No subpoena necessary. Cross-examine all day in court. So that's how I'm teaching you all to choose a good, qualifying, authentic, experienced teacher. Right? No felony convictions. Warrantless search. One who has kept the Vinaya so that he gives proper teaching at the proper time for the proper people. So that's where the biggest disappointment came. So my individual plan as a monk was to enter in semi-retirement, crawl overseas, enter a monastery of peace, work on my books, but from now until then cultivate the next monks, because one can inspire more and it just leads to more, whatever. If this program works out between me and obviously it works out. If it don't, oh well. He's gonna have to figure it out on his own. Everyone has their own path. But if it works out, then great. I have time to contribute to knowledge towards the world. You know what I mean? But do I expect anything in return? I don't. I've done my part, and each one of you should ask yourself, have you done your part? As the good student that you are, as the good Buddhist that you are, and the good Buddhist that the world needs right now, is to exemplify, walk by and through actions. Not, I've read the Buddha's words and let me tell you about it. That's great too. But they can see the greed inside of you. They can see the self-centeredness inside of you. How did you all come to be gravitated towards me? Did I take anything from you? What did I do in the beginning? Give and guidance. And not only that, because we have a small circle, you all knew exactly who is in our circle and who benefited the most from our circle in order for them to be full, effective adults in a short time, 2 months. $4,000 each student. So, and of course, I had to go back to work, and I withheld that information from the world that I went back to work a long time ago, actually, in order to keep my programs going. You all know that because the amount of attendance that is in here. Correct. Right. And so I decided to go back to work a long time ago without anyone's knowledge because it wasn't beneficial for people to know that I went back to work. But I went back to work and I used that money to dump it into these folks right here. And they became my pride and joy. That's it. And there are many more, right? Come see you in 5 years ago. 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And like I said in my last Sunday, taking a chance on you, time, energy, and effort, to hope that Julius would make it out of this dark cave, in the dark caves that we all come from, to see if he would flourish the phoenix that he can be. And you did. And then there's no doubt that you're going to become the best internet security consultant down the road. You know what I mean? Bright, intelligent kid, keeps to himself. Have you been committing any crimes lately?
No.
No misdemeanors, no felony?
No.
No. Trying to keep the precept as much as possible?
Yeah.
Sometimes speed, sometimes music in the car. It's okay. But I've already, you know, again, and the emotional currency that follows the practice. The emotional currency meaning the feel good, the true self-esteem, the true self-concept, and the true self-value because of selfless acts, because of random selfless act of service and selfless act of giving. What I feel and what I do and how I live my life, I want you all to experience for yourself. There is a Ji-Dao inside of you. By and through my teachings, by and through my example, you all should be able to cultivate a little Ji-Dao inside of you. What is it about this teacher that makes him happy, content, something to look forward to? Viriya, energy. Viriya in Pali, energy that he brings to us to enlighten our lives. It was because of by and through giving. I wake up and I give my energy, time, effort. Could I have said no today?
Absolutely.
So that's how you know. Even though on live talks, it just sounds like, oh my God, he's really serious. Like, oh, he just sounds like he's adamant with his stance right now. But how that changes quickly when when students ask, we're wondering if you're going to do anything this Sunday. And yeah, you know, okay, we'll have Sunday, happily. Am I complaining? No, not one bit. But I'm stating the policy here point forward. If this is what you all determine, and you all must think about it quickly right now, because it don't take me long to decide in my own life, throughout the entirety of my life, to decide that, well, yeah, well, I think Buddhism is going to be great, and I think I'm going to benefit most of it. I'm going to dedicate towards meditation and study the Four Noble Truths and Noble Eightfold Path and the 7 factors of enlightenment and the 5 hindrances and I made up my mind and I just did it. I didn't sit there and debated on it and was like, oh, I'm not sure if Islam is right for me or Christianity or Buddhism. I'm not sure if the guy's real. I'm not sure if Buddha was once roamed around the earth. Right? You all must think about the benefits of it, the true actual benefits of it. And you all need to tell me after today so I can make a decision whether I'm going to continue this or not. Because right now in my head, 80% of my time and energy is focusing on teaching him the Vinaya, teaching him the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold. There's so much I have to transmit over to him. It's kind of like an emergency download. It's kind of like your old laptop, your new laptop, and you're trying to get that thing over, but not 3.0, not 2.0 USB, not 3.0 USB, but more like 10.5 USB. Like, get over there, damn it. Trying to download this humongous 84,000 files over to the brain in the midst of him also working from 8 to 4, and by the time he takes a shower, 4 until 5, he's in the car like this. And we get to the beach, and I'm like, wake up, and he's like, right? So the kid is not just physically exhausted, the kid is mentally exhausted. So therefore the teacher has to skillfully select, today, what am I going to teach for him to absorb, retain, and remember? Because if I really suck at this, that means when he sits here, he's going to be like, the second noble truth is, if you want things, life's going to suck. and so you should not want anything at all. It's really easy being an unskillful Dhamma teacher, a young unskillful Dhamma teacher, untrained Dhamma teacher. Very easy for the whole world to fall asleep and just, So that is a daunting task that I have decided to take, because I believe in each and every single one of you can be the next great big thing. And again, the Buddha started off with 5 disciples. I got 7. So, and those 7 can literally cause a ripple effect in society in some way, shape, or form. And the many more that out there that I don't even know and haven't even met and stuff like that. Does that all make sense so far? That's a lot of ranting. Any questions so far? Any questions on any policies set forth, the plan for the future? Any questions about your life and how this relates to your life and the practice relating to your life? All right. So let me spell it out what and how you all can contribute towards the forthcoming days. You have knowledge of a monk that's been practicing for 8 years for free, consistent with the Theravadan tradition. You now have knowledge that the monk has programs deeper than ever before, a magnanimous program of cultivating a local student who has recently been ordained, the next light, hope, love, and compassion that the world needs in seemed like a losing battle. Reflect on their generation, the capacity for them to become terrorists or the next saints to be. Depends on the level and intensity of practice that one takes to heart. Qidao doesn't have a lot of time, money, or resources. Therefore, you all should look at your finances. Set some aside for funds for Dhamma. Matter of fact, funds for the Triple Gem. because everybody else in Southeast Asia is doing that. They've been doing it. Matter of fact, they do it indiscriminately. We've had women that wear $10,000 of gold walk up to the monastery and say, "Today I just feel like giving it all up." And they just tie everything. And then the monks have to call the police, and the police comes, and the police have to stand there and witness the whole thing. And it goes where it needs to go. There is less shootings in Thailand. There's less kidnappings. There's less all of the weird stuff that we see because of how people give, right? They give and they gave up. Giving and giving up. And a dedication and commitment towards the triple gem. The Buddha, the teachings of the Buddha, and the monastic order to keep this cycle of peace going. Anyone get the kidnapping yesterday on their phones? The emergency alert? Which county was that? So much for mindfulness. It wasn't this county. It was in Dade County or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So, therefore, work. Make sure your bill is satisfied. Don't prioritize me. Prioritize your bills. But if you have a little extra, set it aside so that your karma improves and it keeps programs like this going. For you as directed beneficiaries, and for the greatest good of all, it goes to the Sangha. It goes to the Sangha. Don't think it's me, mine, I. Okay, it goes to the meaning of this. Buddhism and its representatives. It goes to our healthcare. It goes to our gasoline to respond to emergencies, suicides. It goes to funeral processions. It goes to funerals that families cannot afford. And it goes to students such as some of you in here that cannot afford CBT books. The shortage of CBT books on that very shelf far behind you. And the numerous other untold things that you probably don't want to hear. But it goes to condoms, contraceptives for students who are sexually active and trying to learn the meditation on the 32 parts of the body because they're sexually addicted, sexual addictions. We spoke about cocaine, gambling, drugs, and then there's sex addiction. So guess what? The School of Jida has a whole bag of condoms laying everywhere in my room. So when you come in my room, there's condoms everywhere, and people are like, "Why do you have condoms?" Well, it ain't for me. And if you think it's for me, put in private investigator outside my place and see if, there's strippers on 34th Street walking in and out of my place. So, so I take trips down to a lot of Metro to get condoms and the coordinations of sexual health services for LGBTQ community. The list goes on. It goes on. And the list forward is having us going down to St. Paul, homeless shelter down there, and just giving out things, giving out blankets, giving out sandals, giving out clothing, giving out our School of Jidao shirts, so that homeless people have clothes, and they also promote the School of Jidao, Buddhism, and we have, we are homeless beggars serving other homeless people, because that's one way to show compassion and make them kinder too, because there's a lot of shootings with homeless people, stabbing and shooting with homeless people, and their engagement with police. So if we make ourselves visible around the city in large numbers, then we see where peace can get started with just one city at a time, community, context, state, and 50 states, and so on and so on. So I'd like for you all to just reflect on that deeply, in the midst of your own problems, in the midst of your own challenges in your life, to reflect, what can I do? What can I contribute? And it need not to be School of Jidao. It can be St. Jude, Ronald McDonald's house. But always wake up in the morning and first and foremost be grateful of the two eyeballs that you have. Your ability to walk and talk, right? Your ability to pull out your credit card, and then use that debit card to contribute to Ronald McDonald House, to contribute to nonprofit organizations, and realize today I woke up, I ate, I breakfast, I showered, I brushed my teeth, I sent $1 to Ronald McDonald, I sent $1 to St. Jude, May they come close to finding a cure for cancer for kids. May they afford living quarters for parents who are awaiting surgery on their kids. Ronald McDonald's. Okay. May School of Qidao proliferate. May School of Qidao cultivate more monks. May Qidao be in good, continuous health. May time, energy, and the good workings of karma be on his side and serve in his favor so that he can serve humanity as a whole. Okay? There is only a couple of comments, one of which, we must protect him at all cost. That's what they did with the Dalai Lama. But someone said that to me, and I said, thank you. That's very touching, actually. Because someone realizes the value of the Sangha. May they have enough money to clone Qidao. Less grumpy Qidao. Alter that gene just a little bit. The helix in the DNA and RNA. May he have more funding so he be a little bit less grumpy. Reflect on that. Okay, so what time is it now? 11:30? Okay. So I will await your text messages and your votes by consensus, by popular votes, and hopefully you all are honest, true, and committed and dedicated. Before I end this talk, the word dedicated and committed means that before going into cybersecurity, you knew what you were getting yourself into. You done Googled it 10,000 times, right? The return on investment and worth investing. Before you chose me, you've already done your scientific research across measurements that this is a good, qualifying, authentic teacher. Before you bought a car, you all knew what type of engine was going to be and how gas efficient it was going to be. Now comes the most important part of your life, which is choosing a spiritual path and being committed to it. No different than Catholics going every Sunday. So keeping the Holy Sabbath day in the 10 Commandments. That's the 10th one, right? The 10th one, right? Keep the Holy Sabbath day.
Yeah.
Is that the 10th one?
The 10th commandment?
Yeah, but that's the 10th one, right? Keep the Holy Sabbath day.
I think so.
Somebody
That-
gonna call me out.
that's definitely one of them.
Is that it? Whatever. I'm old. So therefore, I await your text message, and in the text message, I'm expecting, Dear Venerable Qidao, I believe that at this time the causes and conditions allows me to attend Sundays with you. And so with enough votes and more local people around Pinellas County, if they're tuning into this talk, then then according to what's going on, then I will keep it going. I will keep it going as long as there's attendance, and when the attendance dies down, that's when I'm like, okay, all right, I'm done. And that is when you must do this on your own, or just follow on the YouTube. This is in-person service, but part of me training him, it would be public, because me training him sets the tone, sets the stage for future monks to emerge. They will look for a teacher. They will look for how different teachers teach a certain way. So you all just have to tune in. Even though you all are not bhikkhus, you practice as if you are bhikkhus. You practice as if, yeah, you are a badass layperson, you know? And that's how you cultivate energy and not slothfulness. Do not fall into the 5 hindrances of doubts, of laziness, of anger. So it's a constant awareness, and that's, you know, he's getting a taste of the Theravadan ways, waking up, right? Yeah, with glasses on already, and hat already, and wrong lane. Oh, I didn't see SPC. Right? Yeah, funny, right? It's fun. What do you think when you're sitting there and I'm hammering him down in the morning? The Theravadan ways.
Yeah, basically I'm just like, oh.
Oh shit.
Okay.
You're like, oh shit's going down,
down.
right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, here comes the Theravadan coming out of him. That's to say nicely. The Theravadan ways is strict military, very, very, very military sergeant of the mind. Because if he's lacking the way, I mean, you're 21. You can be a police officer at 19 in Florida. A gun, a badge, and a car. At 19. So why do we miss SPC that big on Seminole Road? You know what I'm saying? That's the standard that they're being held to. So, anyway, so my point is that as you all embrace and embark on this new journey of me training, of course, I've been very nice to all of you and across the world on phone and one-on-one counseling, and I'm holding your hands and stuff like that. Now comes enter the stage on my decade year. After 10 years, the teacher is going to become short, become a little bit more impatient, because he has higher expectations on his students. And the making of you, the making of the best version of you, and that has to be done through self-discipline. The many self-discipline that not a lot of people have, disappointingly, have lost a battle, is losing a battle, and does nothing about it. So hopefully Novice Lee survived School of Jidao, and long before I became a monk, all my friends have said, "Oh, you graduated School of Jidao too?" But they used my former name. And it's funny, the group, they looked at each other. There was this hidden code of understanding, because I ran a bunch of paintball teams, airsoft teams, I ran a lot of teams in sports. So they all knew my level of expectations, as the 4-star general. And it's funny when they all sit, smoke, and talk, and drink, and they're like, "Oh, you graduated his school too? Oh, hey, that's something." So therefore I changed the YouTube name to School of Jidao. It's because there's a particular way that I teach, right? There's a particular way I talk to you, each and every single one of you. There's a particular way of doing things, the right way of doing things, the Theravadan ways of doing things. I was already Theravada before I became Theravadan. And so hopefully he survives this school and sees the benefit of such. Okay, I think I'm done. So let me give the blessing verse. And you're starting. Ooh. Old age, disease, decay. Feel the stretch. Ooh. Okay. The demo, those are 2 last Dhammapada books and cognitive behavior therapy books. So if you need to get, if there's any existence of depression or anxiety, you must go through the CBT book before you go into Buddhism. And the Dhammapada really gets you into quotes and really gets your gear all excited into Buddhism. So if you need to take that book with you, you can. And if you need the CBT book, you can. It's good for you. That's why we do everything for free.
Highly recommended.
Highly. Okay. All right. Did Marlene text? No. Okay.
Yatha pura pari purati sakaran ewame wa ito dinang katanan upakapati ichitan katitan kamhan kipame wasame jatu sape purentu sankapa chandro paneraso yatha manijo diraso yatha Sabi tiyo aviwacha tusa paro ago vinasatu mate pawan tuan tarayo suki dihayuko bawa abiwan Danasile sanicang gotha bacani no chataro thamma watadi ayuano Sokang palang bhavatusa pamagalang rakantusa padevata sa babutan
นุภาเวนัสดาโสติบวันตุเตบวันตุสาพมังกลังราการตุสาปฏิวัตาสาปธรรมานุภาเวนัสดาโสติบวันตุเตบวันตุสาพมังกลังราการตุสาปเทวตาสาปสังฆานุภาเวนัสดาโสติบวันตุเต
Everyone stand by for the Supatipano chant and its translation in English. This is a chant for monastics. When monastics chant to the people and the people chant towards the monastics as reminders how we should conduct our lives, what is expected of us. It's something that novice Lee is learning. This is called a Sangha Vandana. Supatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciple has entered on the good way. Ujjupatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciple has entered on the straight way. The straight way, the straight path. Nyaya patipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciple has entered on the proper way and path. Sami patipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho. That is to say, the 4 pairs of men and the 8 types of persons. Yadidam chatari purisa yugani ata purisa pungala. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciple is fit for gifts, fit for hospitality, fit for offerings, and fit for referential salutation as the incomparable field of merit for the world. Esa bhagavato sāvaka sangho ahuneyo pahuneyo dakkineyo anjalikaraniyo anuttaram punyakyetang lokasati. May you all reflect on the teachings of today's Dhamma talk. May you all reflect the teachings on giving to those who are most deserving, those who are worthy, those who are wise, those who are on the straight path, those on the good path, on the path of serving the people. May your merits be accrued through giving. May you even out your karmic debts. May you reflect on the teachings of karma. May you all go home, think wisely, the dedication and commitment on your own spiritual path towards inner peace, true inner peace, inner enlightenment, liberation, and freedom. May you reflect on the world and how it does not pertain or contribute to your happiness. May you reflect that this, perhaps, the most effective path for you to take to prepare you for death, to prepare you for life ahead, in our century, in our millenniums. May you reflect on the instructions of the Buddha, and if we follow his instructions, we can achieve nirvana once and for all, no longer taking rebirths, and how liberating that is to know. one step closer towards nirvana, one step closer towards the deathless state. May you all be healed from all of your wounds in life. May you be a significant source of healing for other people. May your heart remain open so that love can find its way in. May you remain compassionate, understanding to you, your neighbors, to all humans on this planet. May you learn to accept them for who they are. May you see and understand their flaws and their shortcomings. May you return back to the practice of loving kindness, often and frequent. May you inspire other people by and through your own inner peace. May you inspire other people by and through your own change. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Oh, and I think the last thing that I forgot in my spiel was the promotion of the Theravadan order. I think I've said that. If I forgot, then the contributions also go to the Theravadan order, the cultivation of and the taking care of the senior monks and the junior monks at the same time.